I was helping my dad bring some groceries in, and he was high. He had been on a crank binge, and I remember I dropped a loaf of bread, and all of a sudden my dad kicks me in my back and sends me to the ground. And I turned around and I called my dad a psycho. He punches me in the back of the head as hard as he can. And there's a 10-year-old kid laid out on the kitchen floor. I knew my dad loved me, and I knew when he was sober there was a difference, but those drugs began to pull the strings of his emotions and kind of dictated how he acted. My dad would disappear for weeks at a time. I remember there was times that my dad said, "Hey son, I'm going to go to the store for a pack of cigarettes. I'll be back in 10 minutes." And we wouldn't see him for 2 weeks. And he would come back 40 pounds skinnier from a drug binge. All of my dad's friends were invited over to the house, and I remember me and my 3 sisters just sitting in the living room. People are snorting cocaine and smoking weed and loud music, and everybody's getting drunk and having a good time, just a big drug party. And here we are, these little kids sitting in front of some, dingy television set with smoke in the air. And I can remember the feeling of just lostness, I guess, the feeling of confusion and emptiness that I felt as a child, and I know my sisters felt as well. My dad was my role model. He was the guy that I looked up to, but I could never quite catch up to him. He was always one step ahead of me. Although I said I never want to be like my father, like son, and I started to go down kind of the same path. But I remember when I got into high school, one thing led to another, and of course, Dad wasn't around. He split the home when I was about 12 years old. My mom was working 2 jobs, so she wasn't home a lot, and so I ran the streets. I ran my own life. Got into all kinds of trouble. I was a very violent young man. I had such built-up anger. I realized, wow, there's something that can kind of numb this pain. There's something I can escape to, and pretty soon I couldn't put the bottle down, and the alcohol led to weed, it led to pills, whatever I could do to just numb the pain. Through a series of events, my buddy's girlfriend was shipped off to Central Oregon, and her parents told my friend he wasn't allowed to see her unless he got involved in a church. And so he's like, okay, hey, I gotta play the game, I gotta go to church if I want to see my girlfriend again. And so he said, hey Dave, do you wanna go to church with me? And I said, nah, I'm not really into it. I'd only been to church 3 or 4 times my whole life by the time I was 16 and a half, 17 years old. It's Sunday morning, and all my buddies are crashed out on the floor, and we head off to this church and didn't know what to expect. I was a little nervous. So we pull up, and all of a sudden we hear the music. It's bumping, and we look inside the windows, and people are raising their hands and smiling and singing, and I had never seen anything like it in my life. And I'm thinking, wow, this priest guy, pastor guy, religious leader guy, whoever he is, he must be giving these people drugs. Like, nobody acts that happy. I mean, I couldn't process it in my mind, how people could seem so light and so free when my life was so clouded and heavy. We sit down, and the pastor begins to preach. And I sat there, and for the first time in my life, I heard the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I remember the pastor, he said these words. He said, if you were the only one, God would have done it for you. That's how much he loves you. The pastor said, it doesn't matter what you've done or where you're from, God will forgive you. You just got to reach out to him and ask Jesus into your life. And all of a sudden, I feel a love overwhelm me that I had never experienced in my life. But then there was something else in my heart that said I never want this feeling to go away, because I had never cried because of joy. I'd never cried because I felt happiness. And for the first time in my life, there was something touching me so deep, and it was so real and so authentic. This truly was what I was looking for my entire life. And that day I had received Jesus. I invited him into my life, and my world was turned upside down. And so I began to tell everybody I knew, and especially my family, about this Jesus encounter that I had, and how Jesus touched my life, and he gave my heart something beautiful. And one by one, my family began to come to Christ. It all started with just saying yes to Jesus. It all started by just one simple decision to open my heart to the one who died for me and realize that God loved me so much that he'd rather die than live without me. And Jesus did that for me, and he did it for you too. I'm Dave Riesinger. Jesus is on demand.